Hey guys, part two, bone broth day. And if you made it this far, kudos to you because you're serious about taking good care of your gut and your health. And which hopefully you're the type of person who understands that it's not just about taking care of the gut, but everything. And you'll give me the grace, I hope, for the crazy wild hair and the desert dried look. I just came back from a hike, which would lead me to your first tip, a real good hack, is to plan your 2 days accordingly. That 24 hours, make sure you're around to either unplug the crock pot and allow it to cool for an hour and then process it. Because having it cook and then putting it in the refrigerator is not a great option. It actually turns it into more work. And that's because it gets real gelatinous and the fat is scattered along the top. And it's really important to be able to put them in the jars, and when we do, this small location of the space allows the fat to come off real easy. So that's one plus. Plus you'd have to heat it back up just to allow better pores in your jars, or it gets messy. And anyways, trust me, plan your time accordingly. Today I didn't. It was well worth feeding the spirit with some really great people who were also taking care of their bodies out on the desert, working it and connecting and being happy. All right, so leaving it off from yesterday, we had that plastic wrap to make sure we were locking in the juices. Let's see how well we did. And because it has been an hour and a half since it's been shut off, it's still warm, but not where I have to wear hot pads, of course, and it looks like I lost maybe a 1/4 inch of liquid. We put in about 8 cups, and we should get back about 8 cups. Oops, and before I begin, since this is to show you how to make life easier with soup broth, let me show you what I have inside the sink. It's a pot that has a colander built into it, so that when I pour it in with this messy process, all the ingredients should get strained. Much easier than if you were to do it by hand. And that worked out good. Not much of a splash. And then I slowly pull up all the stuff that is cooked in there, the carcass, the fruit, the veggies. If you can see it as it's draining, that's everything. What's left down below is broth, and if it's bigger chunks, it's okay, because we don't need to worry about the bones. They've been softened with either vinegar or lemon juice. That acid should have broken anything down to the point of being edible. So I'm going to just take a look and pull out one of these bones and see if our batch turned out. You can tell if when you squish the knuckles of a chicken or turkey bone, especially the fowls, what comes out is the marrow, and that is a nutrient that has got some great stuff in it. So that is a good thing. When you're working with beef or some of the other types of meats that you could use, some of the bones are denser, and you don't get that softness, especially with a beef or a buffalo. Different flavors. And then you have the option to skip the bones altogether. If you want to make this a healthy, nutritious filled broth, it can also be done with just purely vegetables. You're just not getting as much of the calcium and the amino acids, the hardcore nutrition, especially if you're coming back from an illness. Those are key ingredients to be able to build back the building blocks if you're having a surgery, or if you have osteopenia, if you need to bring back muscle like I did. This is where the bones come in handy. But when you condense down all the vegetables that we did, there's quite a bit of stuff in here, and that is still remaining. Again, I mentioned yesterday, I might eat the carrots because they're filled with great broth. But for the most part, this all gets thrown away. It's about the broth. So here we go. I'll put that here and move it aside. And because we put 8 cups of liquid in, we have 2-cup jars, and that allows that rule of thumb of maximum 4 days in the fridge to allow you to put, using freezer jars that will freeze well, you can take a few of those and put those aside. When it comes down to jars, sometimes I'm not well enough prepared to have all my freezer jars, and I will occasionally freeze these, but you're risking a breakage. So I will likely put this one in the refrigerator and the rest in the freezer. And what I do have to downstep from that big container is the one that we originally filled up that size crock pot with, and this has a spout, which makes it a little bit easier as well. So it's literally just transferring the ingredients in to that same container. This will be the telling grace as far as liquid, how much we actually lost with that loose fitting lid. We did not add water in the process. Don't add water in the process. If you're having to add water into your pot, it's because your lid's not tight enough. It's all about the concentration of nutrition. And because of the concentration of nutrition, you get the concentration of the flavor. So, man, we did pretty good. We're at a little over 6 cups, so we did lose in this pot some of the liquid gold. In the one that I mentioned at the last video that snaps down, there's almost no loss. So if you really are getting into doing this, you know, applying the hacks help, having the right tools helps, and I certainly do love my larger pot with the locking lid. So we are going to fill this up. I'm actually pouring over the same pot that held the colander, just in case anything overflows, because this is stuff you don't want to waste. It was a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot of work. It was timed work. You know, that 15, 20 minutes on the front end, and this maybe 15, 20 minutes, which includes the cleanup on the back end. And then later on, after a few hours, when these are in the refrigerator, or the next morning, we filled it up to about 1 inch from the lid. You are going to get a fat layer that will be very easy to just literally take a fork and you'll stick it in the side, pop that baby up and throw it out. That's the unhealthy part of this, is in the trash. And so we continue on, put those in the refrigerator, and don't forget about it. Remember, food safety. It's back to planning appropriately, and if you got a hike plan, be back so that you can take care of it while it's safe for you, because you want to repair the body and not introduce the bacteria by not tending to this. And I think I mentioned also that one of the best things that I like to do is have that in the refrigerator, knowing that I only have a few more days left. It forces me to consume it, or helps me remember, I should say, not force, because even though I've been doing this for 5 years, man, I still love this flavor, because it's different every time based on what I put into it, or perhaps what animal I put into it, or if I go with a pure vegetable base. And remember that you can take this broth, and if you're not drinking it plain like I am, you can also make it into an, you know, put the other chicken back, put some fresh vegetables in it. You can, pho is phenomenal with this particular broth. So you know, shaking it up with the different flavors and pouring it over fresh vegetables is it's a good thing. Hey, lastly, I will post at the very end of this video some of the key important things that in this process that I talked about, so that it's fresh in your brain, that you might just, if you're not the one who took notes while this went along, that you've got it all handy as sort of like a recipe to be able to pull it out next time and make the time go by faster. As I mentioned before, for me personally, there is a flow that you'll get and it'll go quick. It's just that timing variable to make sure that you are here with that 24 hours to be able to process. And between prep and cleanup, once you've got it down, it's maybe 15 minutes on the front end and 15 minutes on this back end, and you're off to good nutrition. You've heard me say before that I see food as medicine. It doesn't have to taste bad. You will come up with ways to be able to make this just really great and apply it in recipes, drinking it plain, or making some really good soups or stews with this as a base. And perhaps yourself and your family will benefit from this golden nutrition. But I must have the disclaimer. I am not claiming it will cure or heal or do your body good. It does my body good, and for many others that have utilized this. The research is on the web. Do your own homework. Work with your own physician to be able to make yourself the best that you can be. I'm Pamela Kluth. I hope that you follow me on YouTube and share your comments. And if you've got some hacks or suggestions, put them down there so that others can see it too. Thank you for watching.